It's happening. You're about to enter the first week of October 2025, a week that will quietly change the rest of your year. October has always been a month of endings, new beginnings, and decisions. But this year feels different. The energy is stronger, more focused. It's like the universe is watching, waiting, preparing you for something bigger than you expected. But here's the strange part. The very first week, October 1st through October 7th, holds a pattern hidden. Some of you have already felt the signs. Restless nights, strange dreams, sudden emotions you can't explain. That's not coincidence. That's alignment. Inside this week, there's one day that matters more than the rest. A day that can shift everything. Most will miss it. But you're here and that means you're ready. So stay with me. But first, do 3 things. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and type "I'm ready" in the comments. This first week of October carries energy you can't ignore. Venus, the planet of love and truth, meets Pluto, the planet of endings and powerful change. When they come together, it's like the universe puts a mirror in front of you. You see what's real. You see what's fake. And suddenly you can't pretend anymore. Symbolically, this is a reset. Old stories fall away. Hidden feelings rise up. And the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, becomes impossible to escape. You may feel it in your emotions. A relationship shifting. A decision you can't delay. A pattern you finally see clearly. It can feel intense, but it's here to guide you, not hurt you. This matters now because the first week of October sets the tone for the entire month. Because October is the month of turning points, and this alignment decides what stays with you and what must end. October 1st is not what you think. On the surface, it may look like an ordinary day. The same routines, the same people, the same hours passing by. But beneath that surface, the first of the month acts like a doorway. It quietly asks, what are you bringing with you? And what are you leaving behind? This is why even the smallest interactions on this day may feel heavier than usual. A conversation, a memory, a decision you almost overlook. It may carry far more meaning than you expect. By October 2nd, the weight of old stories begins to rise. Nostalgia, regrets, or even unfinished conversations might come back into focus. This isn't punishment, it's recognition. Think of it like flipping through the pages of a book you thought you finished, only to realize some sentences are still waiting to be read. It's the universe showing you that your past doesn't just sit quietly in the background. It echoes, it influences, and until you acknowledge it, you can't fully move forward. Then comes October 3rd, and this day tends to stir the heart more than the mind. You might notice shifts in relationships, the people who matter most, revealing themselves in unexpected ways. Maybe someone shows loyalty you didn't know they had. Or maybe someone you trusted suddenly feels distant. Don't see this as loss, see it as clarity. When masks fall away, you're finally left with the truth, and the truth is always easier to walk with, even if it stings at first. October 4th carries a different kind of charge. It isn't about emotions rising. It's about decisions, the kind of choices that don't announce themselves as life-changing in the moment, but later reveal themselves as the turning points. Think about how many times in your past you made a simple decision. Say yes to something, say no to someone, take a step forward instead of holding back, and only years later realize that was the moment that redirected your path. This day carries that same quiet power. And through this first week of October, the theme remains the same. Reflection, but not the gentle kind. This is reflection that shows you what's really working in your life, what's draining you, and what you've been too afraid to admit. It's less about asking the universe for signs, and more about noticing the ones already in front of you, the conversations that repeat, the emotions that return, the habits you've ignored but can't escape anymore. So take this week seriously, not with fear but with awareness, because these days are not passing you by. They're shaping you. They are drawing a line between the life you've outgrown and the one waiting for you. And the more honest you are with yourself, the smoother that shift becomes. The truth is, most people won't notice. They'll brush it off as just another week. But if you've read this far, you already know better. You know this first week of October is setting a stage. And the role you play from here, what you allow, what you release, and what you commit to will echo long after these days are gone. October 5th arrives carrying a weight that feels different from the days before it. Not heavier, but sharper. Like the air is tuned into something precise. This is where clarity begins to take shape. The moon edges into a phase that acts like a lantern in a dark hallway. It doesn't show you the entire path ahead, but it lights up enough for you to see the next few steps. This is not about rushing forward or chasing answers. It's about listening to what stands out. A conversation may land with unusual importance. A choice you were pushing aside may suddenly demand your attention. Think of this day as the universe leaning in closer, whispering what you already suspected deep down. The first warning tied to the moon this week is about overreaction. The light it casts can exaggerate both joys and frustrations, making small matters feel larger than they are. That's why patience matters. Instead of jumping at the first wave of emotion, step back. Imagine looking at your life as if it were a movie playing out on a screen. You're both the actor and the audience, and sometimes stepping into the audience role shows you details you'd miss up close. October 5th is that moment of perspective. October 6th continues that theme but adds an edge. The moon's pull can stir restlessness in groups, friendships, or partnerships. Words might come out sharper or silences may weigh heavier than usual. This is where awareness becomes power. Every relationship has undercurrents. Things unsaid, things assumed, things hidden under polite exchanges. On this day, those undercurrents may ripple closer to the surface. It's not about starting arguments or pushing people away. It's about paying attention to what the energy between you and others is quietly revealing. Sometimes the truth doesn't arrive through words. It shows itself in tone, in timing, in what isn't said at all. Think of these days like a mirror, but not the kind that only reflects what's obvious. This mirror bends slightly, showing you angles you don't normally catch. The way you handle stress, the habits you return to when challenged, the way you talk to yourself when no one is listening. These things become clear in the glow of this first week. That's the true moon warning. Not that disaster is coming, but that honesty is unavoidable. And honesty always asks something of you. The guidance here is simple but not easy. Step into your own observer's seat. Look at your patterns not as flaws but as clues. If you always shut down during conflict, what does that teach you about your relationship with confrontation? If you always agree to things you don't actually want, what does that reveal about your fear of letting others down? These aren't punishments. They're invitations to understand yourself in real time. The moon's energy magnifies these small truths, so you can finally decide whether to carry them forward or not. One of the most powerful metaphors for this week is gardening. Imagine your life as a field you've been tending all year. Some plants have grown tall and healthy. Others are tangled with weeds, and a few may have withered quietly in the corner. October's opening days are like walking through this field with fresh eyes. You don't need to destroy everything and start over, but you do need to ask what is worth keeping alive and what is draining soil that could nourish something better. This choice, though subtle, defines how the rest of your year unfolds, and this is where practical action enters. Begin with the smallest adjustments, not dramatic reinventions. If a relationship drains you, don't declare it over on the spot. Instead, set a boundary. If a habit wastes your time, don't vow to eliminate it forever. Instead, replace 10 minutes of it with something that feeds you. The moon teaches that cycles matter more than grand gestures. Small changes repeated consistently create transformation more lasting than any sudden overhaul. But here's the part many people miss. This week isn't only about cutting away what no longer works. It's also about daring to lean into the opportunities that quietly appear. On October 5th and 6th, you may notice chance meetings, sudden sparks of inspiration, or ideas that seem random but carry weight. Don't ignore them. The moon's light has a way of spotlighting possibilities at the exact moment you're ready to see them. What might look like coincidence is often the universe testing your willingness to act. Imagine standing at a crossroads late at night. The road signs are dim. The sky is cloudy. But suddenly the moon breaks through and lights up one particular path. That doesn't mean the other paths are wrong, but it does mean one direction is being highlighted for you. Now the question is, will you take a step forward, even if it's only a small one? Emotions, yes, may run higher, but instead of fearing intensity, treat it as data. If something excites you more than usual, ask why. If something irritates you beyond reason, ask why. Both reactions point to areas that need attention. It's like holding a magnifying glass over your own story. You don't always like what you see, but once you see it, you gain the chance to rewrite the ending. Practical advice also means staying grounded. The week carries strong symbolic weight, and it can pull your mind into overthinking if you're not careful. Grounding doesn't mean ignoring big ideas. It means balancing them with daily actions. Cook a healthy meal. Take a walk. Organize a space in your home. These tasks may seem small, but they keep you rooted when the energetic weather above you swirls. Think of it like tying down loose items before a storm. The wind may blow, but what's secured won't fly away. There's also a lesson here about timing. Not every door needs to be opened at once. The moon shows its phases slowly, one piece at a time. Likewise, your path forward will not be revealed all at once this week. That's okay. Trust the timing of each step. Pushing for the entire picture now will only lead to frustration. Instead, allow clarity to arrive in waves. Think of it like adjusting your eyes in the dark. The more you relax into it, the more clearly you see. Another metaphor that applies music. Imagine your life as a song being played. Sometimes the notes are smooth and flowing. Sometimes they clash. But the pauses, the silences between notes matter just as much as the melody. This week, those pauses, the quiet moments when nothing seems to happen, are where the insights arrive. Don't rush to fill every silence with distraction. Sometimes silence is where the answers hide. October 6th in particular may test your patience with others. Tensions can surface not to harm you but to show you where alignment has been off. Use this as an opportunity to practice discernment. Who adds harmony to your song? Who adds static? Don't judge. Just observe. Every person in your life is either helping you rise or holding you still. Once you know which is which, your choices become much clearer. The deeper message of this week is about ownership. It's tempting to blame outside forces for delays, challenges, or conflicts. But the moon's lesson is that you always have power in how you respond. You don't control the weather, but you control whether you carry an umbrella. Likewise, you don't control others' actions, but you control how much of your energy you give to them. This shift from blame to ownership is subtle, but life-changing. So what's the practical takeaway for this first part of the week? Pay attention, not in an anxious way, but in a curious way. Treat your life as a mystery you're solving, with every interaction as a clue. The moon highlights the important details. You simply have to notice them. Then instead of reacting impulsively, choose consciously. If you do, this week doesn't just pass by. It becomes a turning point. By the time this first stretch of days concludes, you may be surprised at what has shifted inside you. Not because you forced change, but because you allowed clarity to guide your steps. And when clarity takes the lead, transformation is no longer something you chase. It's something you live. October 7th doesn't arrive quietly. It carries a rhythm that feels undeniable, as if the week itself has been building toward this single moment. The moon speaks in sharper tones, showing not only where adjustments are needed, but also where breakthroughs can happen. If the earlier days of this week felt like whispers, this day is more like a bell. It rings clear and it's hard to ignore. What was hidden comes into focus. What was unclear begins to connect. This isn't about sudden chaos, but about illumination. Imagine walking into a dimly lit room and finally finding the switch. The furniture hasn't changed. The walls haven't moved, but now you can see everything clearly. That's the kind of power this day holds. It brings definition to choices you've been circling for weeks or even months. And with that definition comes responsibility. Because once you see clearly, pretending not to know is no longer an option. The moon's warning here is subtle but important. Don't rush into dramatic moves. Clarity is not the same as urgency. Just because you see the truth doesn't mean you must act on it all at once. Some truths are meant to be absorbed first, processed fully, and then acted upon when the moment aligns. October 7th opens your eyes. What you do with that vision will unfold in its own time. The metaphor that best fits this is a compass. For days you may have been wandering in circles, second-guessing your direction. Then suddenly the compass needle steadies, pointing north. That doesn't mean you're instantly at your destination, but now you know where to walk. That certainty, even if it's only about one area of your life, changes everything. This is where empowerment comes in. The universe doesn't hand you clarity to overwhelm you. It hands it to you so you can reclaim choice. Every small decision this week carries weight. Not because the cosmos demands perfection, but because each decision shifts the trajectory of your path. A yes here, a no there, a pause instead of a rush forward. All of these choices shape what unfolds next. Practical advice in this moment is to keep your energy balanced. Think of yourself as standing at a crossroads with a backpack. You cannot carry every item you've picked up along the journey. Some things must be set down so you can move forward with ease. Ask yourself, what am I carrying that no longer serves me? Old grudges, outdated fears, even endless obligations that drain instead of nourish. These are the weights that keep you standing still. October's first week is the invitation to lighten the load. Another layer of guidance ties back to relationships. When the moon's energy sharpens like this, it often highlights where connections have been out of sync. Maybe you've been pouring energy into someone who gives little in return. Maybe you've been holding back with someone who could actually meet you fully. Either way, the message is the same. Alignment matters more than effort. You can water a stone for years, but it won't bloom. You can plant a single seed in good soil, and it will grow faster than you expect. This week asks you to check where you've been watering stones, and yet it's not only about letting go. It's also about stepping into the courage of choosing differently. For example, If you've been delaying a creative project, this energy supports beginning. If you've been hesitating on speaking your truth, this week nudges you to voice it. The moon's warning here is not to drown in hesitation. Opportunities often come disguised as small nudges. If you wait for them to announce themselves with fanfare, you may miss the doorway altogether. Imagine your life as a long hallway with many doors. Most are closed, some are locked, but every so often one quietly swings open. The key is not to stand there waiting for a spotlight to shine on it. The key is to notice and step through. This week, one of those doors will open. It may not look spectacular at first glance, but trust that it leads exactly where you're meant to go. Grounding continues to matter here. With so much internal energy stirring, it's easy to get caught in the loop of thinking without doing. But action is what anchors insight. Even small action. If a conversation has been on your mind, take the first step toward it. If a project keeps circling in your thoughts, put an hour into it instead of waiting for the perfect time. The universe doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards movement even if the steps are small. Think of it like climbing a mountain. Staring at the peak can feel overwhelming, but the climb is made step by step, not leap by leap. This week is not about leaping. It's about committing to the climb. Every steady step brings momentum, and momentum is what turns vision into reality. There's also a deeper spiritual lesson woven into these days. Trust. Not blind trust, but grounded trust. The kind that comes from remembering how many times you've already made it through uncertain moments. Look back at your own history. How many times did life look unclear only for the pieces to eventually fit together? This week carries that same rhythm. You may not see the full picture now, but trust that the picture exists and your choices help draw it. And here's something often overlooked. Joy is part of this alignment too. Transformation doesn't only arrive through struggle. It can arrive through laughter, connection, even unexpected moments of peace. Don't dismiss the light moments in favor of only focusing on the heavy ones. The moon reminds us that balance matters. Night and day, shadow and light, endings and beginnings. They all share space. So this week, make space for joy, even if it comes in small doses. It may be the very thing that sustains you as you move forward. By the time the first week closes, you may notice that you've shed more than you expected. Not necessarily physical things, but ways of thinking, outdated narratives, old roles you no longer need to play. What replaces them is a sense of openness, a fresh chapter waiting to be written, not because the calendar demands it, but because you finally made space for it. October 1st to 7th has not been a simple stretch of days. It has been a crucible, shaping choices in quiet but decisive ways. What seemed small now proves significant, and what once felt out of reach is beginning to edge closer. This week has not been about waiting for signs, but about recognizing how much of your future is written through the way you respond when no one is watching. The weight of this turning point cannot be overstated. It's like standing at the final bend of a long road and realizing the horizon has been waiting for you all along. You are not at the end. You are at the threshold. And thresholds demand courage. They ask you to decide whether you will step forward into the unknown with trust or retreat into the familiar with excuses. Moments like this are rare, not because they don't come often, but because most people pass by without grasping them. They assume change must roar in with thunder, when in truth it often whispers through daily choices. Think of the doors you have walked past because they didn't seem grand enough. The conversations you postponed because you thought timing wasn't right. The ideas you dismissed before they had a chance to grow. This week has been the reminder that transformation isn't handed to you. It's built in these quiet turning points. What makes this climax powerful is not that the universe suddenly rearranges itself on your behalf, but that you finally allow yourself to step into alignment with the life you've been circling around. You are not being asked to abandon who you've been, but to unlock what has been waiting inside you. Every hesitation up until now has been a rehearsal. Every delay has only sharpened the contrast between staying the same and daring to evolve. And now the choice is no longer abstract. It is right in front of you. This is not about pressure. It's about possibility. Imagine carrying a lantern through a dark forest. For hours it seemed like the light was too faint, the path too uncertain. Then suddenly the trees part and you see a clearing ahead. That clearing isn't the end of the journey. It's the proof that your light has carried you here. That's where you stand right now. The question is whether you will step into the clearing or remain at the edge convincing yourself you need more. You have been prepared for this exact turning point. The horizon is waiting. The path is open and the choice is in your hands. Step forward. And here's the truth most overlook. Breakthroughs rarely arrive wrapped in clarity. They arrive disguised as decisions that feel almost too simple. Saying yes when your instinct is to stall. Saying no when silence would be easier. Walking away from what drains you even when it's comfortable. Leaning toward what excites you even when it's uncertain. These aren't small choices. They are signals. They tell the universe you're ready to participate in the next chapter of your life. What stands in the way isn't fate, timing, or circumstance. It's the stories you tell yourself about why you can't, why you shouldn't, why it isn't the right moment. Those stories have kept you circling the same ground. But this week has already shown you glimpses of another path. A path where those excuses no longer hold power. A path where possibility outweighs hesitation. If you listen closely, you'll notice it. The quiet invitation running through these days. It doesn't demand perfection, only presence. It doesn't require you to know the outcome, only that you're willing to begin. That's how transformation moves, through action, not prediction. So let this be the week you stop rehearsing your courage and finally use it. Let it be the moment where you decide that waiting is no longer your story. Because when you cross into that space where intention meets action, the world meets you halfway in ways you could never script on your own. This is your turning point. Don't watch it pass. Step into it. October 1st week has carried a weight that cannot be overlooked. It hasn't been random and it hasn't been ordinary. It has been a reminder that moments come when life asks for more from us, when staying the same is no longer possible, and when the horizon ahead begins to glow brighter than the road behind. Transformation is never delivered in a straight line. It emerges through reflection, through action, through daring to believe that what has always guided you is still guiding you. Now, this week has been less about waiting for answers and more about realizing that you are already standing inside them. Hope is not a distant light. It's here in the decisions made daily and the courage to step forward, even when clarity is incomplete. The cosmos is not separate from you. It moves with you, shaping pathways you're now beginning to see. So share what this week has awakened for you in the comments. Let others know where you stand, what you're choosing, and what you're opening your heart to next. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you remain part of this journey. Because what unfolds from here will only grow stronger. The story doesn't end with this week. What's coming next carries an even greater charge and you won't want to miss.